How do you introduce yourself with a cuss word?
My name is Sakina Hafiji. I'm a costume stylist and a fashion stylist and a fashion photographer. And I've been doing this for over a month now. I've just got back from London after my master's in fashion styling.
I'm Sameer Hadkar and I am a civil engineer. I graduated this year and I got my degree through Speed Post, which is something exceptional this year. No convocation, but that's okay. I actually am one of Kabir's childhood friends, and 3 months ago we started working on the concept for Sutta, which was the first film that I've ever worked on. Before this, I've acted for him in Isms, which is another short film. But I just like to explore a lot of different areas, different fields. I'm into music, I also like art, and thus I was the art director on this film, and I hope to work with him more often and then help him on the art direction front of the rest of his films. That's something that I enjoy and it's something that I really love doing.
So my name is Sakina Bagastrawala and I am a hair and makeup artist. I have been working since the past 3 years. I'm also a student, currently in my 3rd year. I did my hair and makeup studies from Bar Academy 3 years back, and since then I have been mainly focused on doing celebrity hair and makeup. For someone who's already worked and then had a break, I feel like it's easier to stay in the same line and to be focused. But for people who are just starting over, I don't know for her if it was easy or no. For me, it was completely okay, the whole gap wasn't really a big deal because there was still a lot of things happening in terms of my career and in terms of creativity. So a lot of new trends came in, trends that were big in the 70s and stuff, and I got to play around with it a lot. Yeah, so it was fun, and I don't think it's that difficult to stay in your creative space as long as you know what you want to do and as long as you're dedicated enough to do it.
So for me, I'm also currently finishing my masters, so I have that also going on. But thanks to Kabir, I'm also working now, and I have a few projects lined up, and it's difficult to work on 2-3 projects as you said, but if you have something in your head that this is separate and I'm gonna get this done first and then go back to that, and there's also shuffling, but as long as you keep your directors and your cinematographers happy, I think you're doing a lot.
I think for me, because I'm working in the civil engineering industry, for me this is a part-time job. So it's a very different job. It sort of builds my art abilities, whereas in my job I'm doing more of technical. I'm dealing with softwares and modeling structures or dealing with a lot of numbers and maybe a little bit of management. So this is sort of bringing about the artist in me. I'm learning so many new things. I know that I don't know everything in the field of art direction, but I know that there are so many great mentors I have, like Kabir and Ranjit sir, who I look up to, and they can guide me to become the best, self, sort of art director.
For costume, I think the story, the genre really makes a lot of difference to everything, the colors that you use and the vibe that you're going with. So for Sutta, it was a lockdown situation, so they were very comfortable clothes, and Rahul sir was wearing a shirt with shorts because he was on a Zoom call or whatever. So those are the new things you have to keep in mind for the creativity. And personally, I would really working on work on rom-coms or probably drama where there's more emphasis on the clothes that you wear.
For me, this is a new experience, and I will just this is the first, so I don't really have any preference as to what I want to do next. But it was really fascinating to see how the clothing of a person makes a difference, how the lighting, and even I was working with a lot of prop shops. So to find that specific color of sofa that matches with the walls, that goes with the curtains, and then maybe to get those curtains stitched, so go to the shop and use the color palette, which is it's just an amazing process. And I'm so glad to have gone through the whole thing, and it's it's a very different thing for someone like me. So I had an amazing time.
In terms of like hair and makeup, most of like your regular movies that you watch, say a rom-com or like even sometimes a drama movie, every look is so similar that it kind of gets very monotonous, So if I had a choice and if I would get to like work on something that I really, really wanted to, I would definitely want to do something that was more on the vintage side where I could play around with the looks, like something based in like say in the 20s or the 40s or 70s. It's so much of fun to create those looks, and even like that your actors also enjoy, because they're playing a totally different character. They're not playing something where they're just looking themselves but a prettier version. So I feel like those kind of movies really, like as an artist, let me explore my creative side even more.
I think with me, the director usually approaches, or the screenwriter. And then mostly I'm in talks with them to what their vision is and what they want to see. And that's when we start the process. I show them boards and based on what they're looking for. And then we finalize certain outfits.
I think with me, it's more in terms of like, it's always who's in charge of the, say for example, if it's a photo shoot or if it's a movie, like in terms of a movie, it's either the director who's like doing all the managing of what, because he's the one who has the vision, right? So he's the one who's telling me do this, do that, I want this, I want that. Or it's also the first AD. Like in terms of like a movie, the director knows, I have this certain look for the actor, I want the actor to look like this. So in terms of that, I'll always look at the costume department and see what is the costume mood board, and accordingly I'll figure something out and decide looks as to what would look good, what is manageable, and what is quick. Because you want to do something that's going to take hours, right? You want something that's going to be quick. So hence, that's how like I figure my way out, and that's how I plan my looks.
So for me, as a position of an art director, usually it's a director or the first AD who comes to me with the color palette. So I'll work with the director and then of course costume and makeup to sort of create that look that the director wants. So usually the director would hire a assistant director, and then they would look for the production manager, art director, and all of these come in the core sort of team that is formed for the production of the movie. But then in specific to Suttabazi, I actually sent out a voice memo to Kabir with the concept, and Kabir is my friend. I know him; he's a director for years. But just sending him that voice memo is where it all started to where it is today, which is it's becoming quite a big production with a lot of very competent actors, very high skilled actors. So please go ahead and spam all the directors, with all the stories, because you never know when something will just sort of become something so big, and it's just sort of moving out of your comfort zone and exploring something different and new. I would usually start with like a detailed description of what I want to see in every scene. We have like a short breakdown of every scene in the movie. So the director and I would usually sit down, and he would just give me a brief as to the lead actor is going to sit on the sofa, then the daughter enters from here, and hopefully we've seen the location by then. So I have an idea of how the house looks or the place looks. So I usually work with a color palette, which is something like this, which is provided to me, and then all of us, the costume, makeup, as well as the art, and the director finalizes the color palette, and we work with this in mind so that everything looks sort of, well, it's sort of like glued together and it looks very perfect together. I would go around writing very small things, like there's a glass coffee table with like 2 legs. It's a 2-legged table, and then wooden. I probably want wood there. Then I want to see newspapers on it, maybe some spectacles kept, just to make it sort of like a home. So looking at what kind of space you want to create, you would go into the details of that space. So I'm very thorough usually with making such lists, and usually when we have the location finalized, I would go around and make a small plan on AutoCAD, which is a drawing tool on the computer. So I would draw up the rooms, as you can see here, and also dimension them, so that if I have to place furniture from prop shops, if I have to get any sofas or chairs, I should know the size so they don't look oversized in that space, so that they suit that space. So I would create such a plan and then share it with my team, so that we can all head to the prop shop and get a good get well sized equipment, and also with respect to the color palette, we get everything that suits this location and everything that's available. So these are the three things that I work with. Otherwise, we're always going and traveling to different prop shops, experimenting with different colors and looks, and I'm always in touch with the director, who's constantly guiding me as to what he wants to see, and then I would like send him pictures of the kind of props we want to put up, of the kind of curtains we want, and all the small details. And then I think in the shop breakdown we create an entire prop list, a very thorough list. So we go around and collect all the props, and then on the day of the shoot, of course, is all execution. So I would work with the team to actually bring these props in the morning, and then on the day of the last shot and everything, once we wrap up, we take the props back and give it to the shop. So these are some tools that I use, just AutoCAD and then regular Word, to sort of collaborate with my team and on the art direction front, and make it a more collaborative experience for everyone, and make sure that everyone's on the same page as me, and I am executing what the director wants to see. I think for us, on most of our projects, it's Kabir who is the decision maker. Like if there's any dispute, it goes to him. Because we all listen to Kabir, we all respect him a lot because of the experience he has in the industry and the number of films that he's done. So he would be like that person we'd go to. But because we're such a small, well sort of formed group, and we all respect each other, we sort of know where to compromise for each other. And in the end, we sort of work for the best of the film and not for any other aspect. We are someone who sort of liked the concept of the film, and that's why we worked on it, and not just for our position in the film. Like even on the day of the shoot, I think none of us, we didn't have defined roles. We would do whatever we had to do. Everyone was a spot boy. Everyone was setting the other. Everyone was helping moving things around. So on the day of the shoot, it's very different, but I think it's the person's mentality towards how he likes to approach different situations. If he wants to be very rigid, but I think none of us were. We were very comfortable with each other.
I think I completely agree with what Samir said here. Even on the day of the shoot, if you think that something's not working, we were comfortable with each other to just say that maybe we can try this or try that, and the other person took it very well. Because obviously it made sense. If something was not making sense, then we speak about it. So throughout the entire duration and even before pre-shoot, we got that bond with each other where we could just speak about things, and we never had any major differences on set like that.
I think moreover everyone got along really well. I think that was one of the biggest reasons why no one really had differences, because everyone liked each other mostly.
Like, has a new
Mostly.